Hello everyone, my name is Jessica and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. So let's just hop into today's video. There's no need for an intro. You know what this video is about. So finally, there are charges for sweet little baby Fabian. If you don't know about this case, I'm going to give a quick little recap here on what happened. 22-year-old Matthew Guerra and 18-year-old Savanah Soto were found unalived in a car in San Antonio, Texas, in Bexar County. It's spelled like Bexar, but it's Bexar County. They were found on Boxing Day 2023, so December 26, 2023. They were found with wounds to their head using a weapon. I have to be careful in the first 10 minutes of my video. The AI for YouTube really only can analyze the first 10 minutes. So I believe I can use the real words for everything after the 10-minute mark. So just so you're aware, that's been my test and what I've noticed with my videos at least. So hopefully that's going to be the case with the rest of this video. So sorry if it's annoying. I'm not the news, so I can't just say whatever words I want to say, which are the real words, obviously. Like I said, they were found 5 days later. Family had assumed they had talked to them the day before.
Gloria Cordova says her daughter Savanah Nicole Soto was ready to be a mom. She last spoke with her Friday afternoon. She was set to be induced 6:30 Saturday night.
Here's a timeline of what we know. Soto and Guerra were last seen leaving their apartment on Friday, December 22nd. The next day, Soto misses an appointment to be induced to give birth to her baby boy Fabian, but she never showed up, so her mother reports her missing. A clear alert was issued in the following days, and just yesterday, police found the body.
People had thought they had gone missing, but really, like on the 22nd, but she was set to be induced on the Saturday. So it actually was 2 days since they had seen Matthew and Savanah, but she didn't show up for her induction at like 6 in the morning, and his family started worrying. Well, both families started worrying.
On Saturday afternoon, when no one had heard from Savanah or Matthew, Gabriel kicked in their apartment door in hopes of finding clues.
That's when I saw Savannah's overnight bag that she had packed for the hospital that she didn't have with her, and that even threw me more into a panic.
Savanah's mother, Gloria Cordova, put out a desperate plea for information about her daughter and filed a police report with Leon Valley over the weekend.
But Matthew's dad and stepmom were really proactive in doing their best on getting the police involved. So they called 911, and then they were pushed off from 911 and told to go file a police report because they had said they're old enough, they could just run away if they want to, which is crazy. And they said, I saw that Matthew's dad had pleaded with the police that this is exigent circumstances, which I've only really recently learned what exigent circumstances are, which in the Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt case, an exigent circumstance is when there's an immediate moment of danger. So because Savanah was past due, she was 41 weeks, and that's why she was having an induction. It is exigent circumstances because of that, in my mind at least. I don't know what the actual law is with that, so that's what they were trying to push for. And then eventually they went to the apartment and went searching, and they were surprised to walk into their apartment and see a candle that was lit, which I've not heard anything about why this candle was lit other than what if someone else was in the apartment before the police and Matthew's dad broke down the door. I believe Matthew's dad actually broke down the door before him and the police were there. I've heard that in certain cultures, lighting a candle is a significance of someone missing or passing away, and there's some significance with lighting a candle. So that's the only thing I've heard about that. I've not heard any other details, but this is an ongoing case, so we will probably find out more information as time goes on. With all that said, so she was past her due date, and then they were found in a car, not that far from their house. I feel like it was 20 minutes from their house or something, but what's going to really help, even though this has been confusing, my little summary, I'm going to get into the affidavits. That's the first thing I want to get into, because the affidavit from Myrta is really important. So there were 3 people arrested in connection with the unaliving of Matthew, Savanah, and Fabian wasn't even included. Like I said in my intro, wasn't even included until recently. But the people who were arrested was Christopher Preciado.
Are you sorry for what happened? Anything to say to your family? How does it make you feel, an unborn baby?
Ramon Preciado, his dad.
Are you sorry for what happened? Did you know she was pregnant?
Oh, always fake news, huh?
And Myrta Romanos, his mom, and the dad's wife.
Myrta, as a mother, how can you be involved in this? Myrta, did you get everything for your son and the family?
Okay, so there was a lot of speculation for a while that that was his stepmom, and I proved in my videos that that is not true. That is his real mom. So I'm going to get into the affidavit. It really helps clear up a lot of things, and I was shocked with some of the stuff I learned, and it gives a lot of clarity. And then I'll get into the specifics with the charges and the trial upcoming. So let's get into that part. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to read the affidavit out to you guys. I will obviously put it on screen as I'm reading it, but I, again, say the word obviously. I obviously have to look at my phone while reading it because how would I memorize all this? Okay, so this is the affidavit for arrest warrant in the state of Texas, the county of Bexar. The undersigned affiant, Detective Jeremy Goodwin, number 2322, being a peace officer under the law of the state of Texas, is being dutifully sworn an oath, makes the following statements and accusations. A victim in this case has been identified as Savanah Nicole Soto, date of birth August 22nd, 2005, herein referred to as Victim 1. A victim in this case has been identified as Matthew Gabriel Guerra, date of birth October 26, 2001, hereinafter referred to as Victim 2. An actor in this case has been identified as Myrta Romanos. So remember, that's the mom of Christopher and the wife of Ramon. Date of birth, August 7th, 1976. Herein referred to as the defendant. Said defendant is further identified in SAPD, so San Antonio Police Department, computer files under SID 563871. So you can actually search per county, like in all the U.S., but in Bexar County, you can search by the SID number to find out all the records that this person has ever had. It is the belief of your affiant that the offense P.C.37.09, tampering with evidence, so that was her first charge, was committed, or is that, I think that's her only charge, actually. I thought she had 2 or 3 charges, but I'll get into that in a little bit. I have screenshots. Was committed on or about the 21st day of December 2023 in Bexar County, Texas. Your affiant has probable cause for said belief by reason of the following facts. On December 23rd, 2023, Leon Valley Police received a call for a missing person report, and it's identified as the numbers 2023-LV, which is Leon Valley PD-004618. Family of the missing person stated she was supposed to be induced for her pregnancy and did not show up for her appointment. The family advised they had not been able to get a hold of the female and stated she was not answering her phone. A check of the hospitals was conducted by the family, and it was found that the female was not at any of the hospitals. It was found that the female lived with her boyfriend. However, the family of the boyfriend advised they were not able to get in touch with him as well. The female was entered as a missing person by Leon Valley. And that could sound confusing, but Savanah's family went to Leon Valley, and I believe it was Matthew's family that went to, I don't know if they went to, there's 2 different counties that they had gone to for the police departments, and there was a problem because it wasn't in the county that, okay, Matthew and Savanah were living in Leon Valley, but it happened in Bexar County, I think, and then the family had lived in separate counties, I believe, something like that. It's kind of confusing, but then it took time, so then eventually ended up in Leon Valley, which is where it needed to be because it was in the county that Savanah and Matthew lived in. Further investigation found that the female and her boyfriend were not responding to any phone calls, and their whereabouts were unknown. Media broadcast on the news the story of the missing female and her boyfriend in the media. That's kind of confusing. The boyfriend's car description was broadcast in the media and was said to be a 2013 gray Kia Optima, which they did release video of that. On December 26, 2023, a resident of 5903 Danny K. Drive messaged the family of the female and advised them that they believed the vehicle was parked at 5903 Danny K. Drive. The family contacted Leon Valley and drove to the location. They messaged the family, and so the family member they had messaged was Savanah Soto's aunt, I believe. And I shared about that in one of my videos regarding it. That person had actually opened up the car door and saw that Savanah was not alive and that she had a wound to her head.
A friend who the family says is Matthew Guerra. John Paul Barajas was at the scene when investigators found the bodies, and he spoke with the woman's family.
San Antonio police officers swarmed this apartment complex on the 5900 block of Danny K. Drive, believing they found the bodies of a soon-to-be mom, 18-year-old Savanah Soto, and her boyfriend, who family says is Matthew Guerra.
All she wanted was that baby.
Soto's sister-in-law, Johnny Wasil explains a tip through Facebook led them to this gray Kia.
That they were shot. I'm not sure where. I did see blood in the car when they opened it.
But then when the police showed up, the car was actually locked. So that I found interesting. I mentioned, like I said in my video before. Upon Leon Valley Police arrival to the location, Leon Valley Police observed the vehicle. Inside the vehicle was a deceased pregnant female in the front seat and a deceased male in the back seat of the vehicle. San Antonio police were contacted, and your affiant made the location. Upon arrival to the location, your affiant observed the vehicle, and the vehicle was a 2013 Kia Optima with a Texas license plate of TRC-9447. Your affiant checked the VIN number, and the VIN number was the same VIN number that was broadcast on the news for the missing couple. A check of the information through NCIC/TCIC showed the vehicle belonged to the boyfriend of the female. Your affiant observed the front right passenger side of the vehicle. Your affiant observed a deceased pregnant female inside the front right passenger seat. So it's interesting that he could tell she was pregnant. Due to the affiant knowledge of the female on a previous murder case from 2022. So I guess he could tell from her sitting that she wasn't alive anymore because of a previous case of seeing a pregnant person sitting down. Because sometimes, like I've carried 2 pregnancies to term. When you sit down, I guess it can be hard to tell if you're pregnant or overweight, depending. And I had really big babies, but it was still hard to tell. Your affiant recognized the female to be that of the missing female. The female appeared to have trauma to her head. The affiant then observed the back seat of the vehicle. Your affiant observed a deceased male in the back seat of the vehicle. The deceased male resembled the boyfriend to the female. The male had an apparent gunshot wound to his head. It appeared the male had been dragged into the vehicle. Your affiant did not observe any weapon near the male. A search warrant was requested so entry into the vehicle could be conducted. While waiting for the search warrant, your affiant spoke to the families of the female and the male. It was found that the boyfriend to the female sold narcotics and would use his phone through cellular communications as well as social media to sell narcotics. It was also advised that the boyfriend would post money and narcotics on Instagram, which I did share his Telegram. It is this for sure. But so if you want to see that, check out my older video on that. It was stated that the people wanted to rob the boyfriend and was stated that the boyfriend had been SHOT'd at before. The family provided their affiant with the phone number of the female. The family of the male provided the affiant with the phone number as well as his Instagram. When the search warrant arrived at the location, a search of the vehicle was conducted. The search found spent shell casings in the vehicle. However, there was no weapon recovered in the vehicle. There was an apparent blood transfer on the outside of the vehicle that was not consistent with the boyfriend causing harm to the female. Because initially, when the story first broke, people had assumed because he had domestic charges on Savanah before she had gotten pregnant, they had assumed that maybe he had ended her life. But there was also people who were obviously not believing that. And that's why they are saying this, because there was the accusations before finding out the truth of what happened.
2022 for domestic abuse against Savanah, and even suggested Matthew stay in custody longer.
They had contacted each other on the phone, and that was a violation, so they can please keep him in there. And unfortunately, it would have to be Savanah to say that, and she wouldn't do it, so eventually he was let out.
Domestic abuse charges were never filed again. Gabriel and his wife Raquel say the couple was inseparable and seemed happy. That's why they don't believe Matthew could have hurt Savanah.
Both the female and male had gunshot wounds to the head, and the male also had an apparent drag marks on his back. It was believed that the female and the male were killed at a different location, and the vehicle was driven to the recovered location. During further investigation, your affiant found video surveillance sorry, that's worded weird, at 5903 Danny K. The video surveillance, so I shared this in another video, obviously a lot of people did. The video surveillance found that on December 21st, 2023, around 23:59 hours, so that's 11:59, which is why they say on or about December 21st, a Chevrolet Silverado gray driving with its lights off from the vehicle recovered location. The Silverado pulled in the middle of the back parking lot and parked next to the parking lot and parked the vehicle. The victim's vehicle could be seen approaching this Chevrolet Silverado. I don't know, I'm having a hard time saying that. The victim's vehicle parked next to the Silverado. A heavyset male exited the Silverado and the driver's side of the victim's vehicle opened. So the heavyset male is Ramon Preciado. The heavyset male approached the driver of the victim's vehicle and appeared to speak with the driver. The heavyset male then got a towel from his vehicle and appears to wipe down the outside of the vehicle, the victim's vehicle door, where he had touched the vehicle. Surveillance video appeared to show a third person throw the towel to the heavyset male, which led the police to believe a second person was inside the Chevrolet Silverado. So that's interesting because when this was all going down, everyone's like, who threw the towel? Who threw the towel? That was like massive news. And it was suspected it was the mom, but no one knew until obviously she got arrested. The driver of the victim's vehicle exited the vehicle for a brief moment and sat back in the driver's seat. The driver did not match the description of the female victim or the male victim. The Hispanic male got back into his vehicle. The victim's vehicle drove behind the vehicle where the evidence was found on December 26, 2023. The Silverado followed the victim's vehicle. Approximately 3 minutes later, the Silverado was observed leaving from behind the building where the victim's vehicle was found. The victim's vehicle did not leave the location. It was believed that the victims were already deceased in the vehicle at the time of the video observed. It is believed that the unknown driver and heavyset male observed parked the victim's vehicle at the location in an effort to hide the vehicle. On January 2nd, 2024, your affiant provided one of the victim's cell phones to Detective Knox at the Technical Investigations Unit. On January 3rd, the affiant received the phone downloaded from Detective Knox. Your affiant found that the victim had recently searched the street of Charlie Chan Drive, and the victim I believe they're referring to is Savanah. Due to your affiant's knowledge of the crime scene area, the affiant was aware that Charlie Chan was a couple blocks away from the victim's vehicle recovery location, which was Danny K Drive. The affiant was able to discover that the victim's vehicle pinged near Charlie Chan Drive and Cary Grant Drive around 23:50 hours. So 9 minutes before their vehicle, they were seen on surveillance video footage, which is crazy. On the night they went missing, the vehicle did not start moving again until 23:54, which means they were killed in a 4-minute time frame. That's so crazy. The vehicle then traveled to 5903 Danny K Drive, where the victims and their vehicle were discovered on December 26, 2023. Your affiant conducted computer research and was able to locate a vehicle that looked identical to the suspect vehicle seen on the camera with the victim's vehicle. Your affiant did research on the owner of the vehicle and found the owner of the vehicle matched the description of the male that exited the vehicle on camera, which again is Ramon Preciado. Homicide detectives went to the vehicle location listed above and found the listed vehicle at the location. While at the residence on Charlie Chan, a person identified as Ramon Preciado reported knowing why SAPD was at his residence. Ramon Preciado informed SAPD detectives to speak with his son, identified as Christopher Preciado. Ramon Preciado and Christopher Preciado were transferred to SAPD Homicide to speak with your affiant, while additional SAPD detectives searched the residence on Charlie Chan Drive under the authority of a search warrant, which I followed this case, obviously, and I did not know that they did an initial search of the house. I thought they arrested them. I'm not super well versed in law. I'm as versed as I need to be on a particular case, and I'm learning more with time, but I did not know that had happened. Your affiant spoke with Ramon Preciado after Ramon Preciado was read his Miranda warnings. Ramon Preciado admitted to driving his Chevrolet Silverado to 5903 Danny K Drive, where he met Christopher Preciado. Ramon Preciado identified himself on surveillance video from 5903 Danny K Drive as the person observed exiting the Chevrolet Silverado. So he easily gave up his involvement, which is crazy to me. Ramon Preciado reported meeting Christopher Preciado at this apartment complex, who was driving another vehicle. This vehicle is the vehicle in which Matthew Guerra and Savanah Soto were found deceased. Ramon Preciado admitted to assisting Christopher Preciado at 5903 Danny K Drive. Your affiant then spoke to Christopher Preciado after Christopher Preciado was read the Miranda warnings. Christopher Preciado reported Matthew Guerra and Savanah Soto drove to his residence on Charlie Chan Drive to sell Christopher Preciado marijuana. Christopher Preciado went on to provide a version of events that were inconsistent with evidence collected at the scene from the victim's recovered vehicle. Christopher claimed the male victim pointed a weapon at him, and Christopher was able to manipulate the weapon, resulting in the female being shot. Christopher then stated that the weapon had been pointed at him again, and he manipulated the weapon again, resulting in the male victim being shot. On January 4th, 2024, the affiant spoke, so that is super weird, because obviously that didn't happen, in my opinion, because that sounds like a Jackie Chan movie. I don't know. It sounds crazy to me. And it appears from what we know so far that Savanah was in the car when she got shot. So he is saying a drug deal gone bad. At least, I'm like, wouldn't it be hard drugs, not marijuana? I don't know. This is why it's very weird. And I mean, they had said that Matthew had been shot at before. So we're going to learn a lot more as the trial goes on, because it's going to trial, obviously, because they've pled not guilty. And that's the only reason why it ever goes to trial, because they plead not guilty, I think. On January 4th, 2024, your affiant spoke to Myrta Romanos. Myrta stated on the night of the incident, she was at her residence, 5735 Charlie Chan Drive, with Ramon and Christopher. Myrta could not recall the events of the night and stated she thought she was sleeping. Obviously, to not incriminate herself in that moment, but she thought she was sleeping. You would know. Obviously, she's the one who threw the towel. That's why she's arrested, but I digress. During the search at Myrta's residence, Myrta's bedroom door was locked. Homicide detectives inquired about unlocking the door, and Myrta provided the key to unlock the door. Myrta stated that she kept the door locked and was the only person to have the key to the room. During the search of the room, a firearm, later forensically matched to the shell casing recovered at the victim's vehicle, was found concealed in the room. During Myrta's interview, Myrta was questioned about the recovered firearm. Myrta claimed the firearm was hers, and it was given to her by a family member. Her dad is a former military. Her dad was a veteran. I say was because he's passed, but I'm assuming that's where she got it from. If it was given to her by family, you never know. On January 5th, 2024, the affiant was notified that the firearm recovered in the closet of Myrta forensically matched the shell casing recovered from the victim's vehicle. Due to the statements made by Myrta before I get into that. So that would show that what Christopher had shared was inconsistent with the evidence, because also, no, I guess he got arrested before that. But that weapon was Myrta's and then used to kill Savanah and Matthew, right? And so his version of events of manipulating the weapon because it was pointed at him would be freaking false. Also because in Matthew and Savannah's vehicle, they found no weapon, which to me is very weird, because Matthew was always armed, especially when he did his deals, he was always armed. So I found that really weird, and I wonder if they're ever going to find it. But if it matched the shell casing, if the shell casings match her weapon, it is not at all what he said. And I'm very fascinated to learn what's actually happened, what the truth of the matter is. I don't know. Hopefully, obviously they have enough evidence. That's why they are now going to trial. Due to the statements made by Myrta intentionally concealed the firearm in an attempt to impair its availability as evidence during an investigation. Your affiant has reason to believe and does believe that the defendant, Myrta Romanos, on or about the day of the 21st day of December 2023 in Bexar County, Texas, concealed evidence in an attempt to impair its availability as evidence during an investigation. And that is the end of her affidavit. So the things that Myrta was charged with was 3 felony charges, one including abuse of a corpse, tampering with evidence, and attempting to alter, destroy, or conceal evidence. And then Ramon, so the father, was charged with abuse of a corpse and then alter, to destroy, and conceal a human corpse. And then the additional charge on Christopher, on top of all these ones, was murder. And that was for Savanah and for Christopher. So in Texas, the law states, I'll put it on screen somewhere, the exact thing. I had a screenshot, I can't find it now. But it has to do with human life. They believe that when a woman is killed while being pregnant, that child also is human life, and the person who ended their life should be charged as well. So it's been all this time, people have wondered, why aren't they charged? Why aren't they charged with his life? Because he was past due. He was already a really big baby. Now, Christopher has finally been charged with that.
The families of these victims say that this is the step in the right direction for finding justice. They wanted to see 19-year-old Christopher Preciado face an extra murder charge in relation to the death of baby Fabian, and now he will face a third count of capital murder for the death of Savanah Soto's unborn child. And again, the family say this is a step in the right direction for justice, and it's the news that they had hoped to hear.
Ecstatic, happy. We feel like Fabian's finally being recognized.
Justice for baby Fabian is all the families of Savanah Soto and Matthew Guerra wanted from a grand jury.
We're just happy that the grand jury, it was a fast decision. Yeah. There was not a lot of contemplation or talking about it, and they all pretty much agreed that someone needs to be held accountable for Fabian.
So on March 27th, 2024, all three of them were indicted by a grand jury. Now, indicted means that they have gathered enough evidence to then, like sufficient good evidence to prove that they are guilty of a crime. Obviously, you're innocent until proven guilty, but that's what it generally means. I wanted to read for you guys like the legal process because I found this interesting because it can be really confusing and it's like, okay, indictment, it's like, what does that even really mean? Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit from this website that I found about what does it mean to be indicted by a grand jury, just because I don't want to get anything wrong, obviously, and I want to be as factual as possible. Okay, it says, securing an indictment from a grand jury is an important stage in the federal criminal justice system. Without one, the prosecutors are unable to bring charges against an individual and pursue a conviction on behalf of the people. The general public may be familiar with the terms of indictment and grand jury thanks largely to the news outlets broadcasting indictments of high-profile individuals. But these legal concepts, purposes, and inner workings are lesser known. A report found that the most Googled legal question in the United States for 2023 was, what does indictment mean? With more than 100,000 internet queries per month per 1 million people. And then, okay, so this is it. What is an indictment? When we talk about indictments, what we're really talking about is the outcome of a grand jury. The Fifth Amendment in the U.S. Constitution says no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless a presentation or indictment of a grand jury, with the term infamous crimes typically meaning felonies. Though the Fifth Amendment is not what we call incorporated, so the states technically don't have to have grand juries if they don't want to, but the federal government does. According to the Fifth Amendment, that being said, most states do, although the rules vary. Furthermore, an indictment is a signal from the public that the investigative bodies, police, prosecutors, etc., have enough evidence that the people feel comfortable charging a particular individual and bringing a criminal charge to trial, which is awesome because since Fabian is included in these charges, and it took a long time. You know, this happened in December. It took like 3 months. I guess it's not that long, but in the world of social media, it is really long. Sorry, I recorded everything on my phone, so I didn't make sure I'm not going over and have to restart it. In terms of the makeup of a grand jury, it typically consists of a cross-section of people in the local community, which we already know that. I don't have to go over what a jury is. How is the grand jury process initiated? After police conduct an investigation, they hand over evidence to a prosecutor. The prosecutor then signals that a grand jury is needed and that they want to seek an indictment. A grand jury is then collected, which is similar to any other type of jury selection or jury duty where people receive mailings stating that they have been called to serve the public. They are then instructed on how to do their job. They will listen to all evidence, read all evidence, and absorb all evidence that the police have collected and given to the prosecutor. Then they will determine whether there are reasonable grounds that a crime has been committed and that the person or persons who are the subject of the grand jury committed those crimes. And then how is the grand jury different from a trial jury? A grand jury is different from a trial jury in several key ways. First off, in a trial jury, they are seeking to convict. And because this can limit life and liberty, the standard is beyond reasonable doubt, which is very, very high. In a grand jury, they're simply determining whether there's enough evidence to even seek a trial in the first place and to bring these charges on behalf of the people. Because of that, the standard is much lower. The standard is probable cause, which is termed as reasonable grounds that a crime has been committed and that the person or persons committed this crime. There are also different rules in terms of unanimity. When we think of trial juries, we think of the jury unanimously saying we find the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. With a grand jury, It's common to have a number of individuals from around 16 to 23. For federal grand juries, as an example, you will only need 12 members out of that 23 to vote indict. It's much easier to meet this standard. Another important difference is to note that typically a grand jury is allowed to see and hear evidence that otherwise would not be presented to a trial jury. That's awesome. That's what you want in this case if you are as invested as most of us are who really care about seeking justice for Savanah, Matthew, and their families. Who is present at a grand jury? There is a judge who oversees things as well as the grand jurors. And in terms of our federal grand juries, they need a minimum of 16 in order to start their business and to conduct their business. But you can have as many as 23. The number can also vary depending on the jurisdiction. This is interesting. How do prosecutors obtain indictments from a grand jury? After the grand jury has been assembled, the prosecutor will present a slew of evidence. They will help the grand jury call witnesses that the prosecutor has provided. Because the grand jury has that power, they will present documents and other physical evidence to the grand jury. Then the prosecutor will signal that this is the end of the evidence. Then the grand jury will go to deliberations and will again be instructed by the court about their duty and what standards to meet. For the deliberations, the prosecutor provides a preset indictment, which includes the summary of the charges that are being sought. The grand jury goes down the line and they will establish if probable cause was met or not for each charge. And again, probable cause is reasonable grounds that a crime has been committed, which is, great. It's not like the highest. They'll look at the crime and ask, are there reasonable grounds that this crime has been committed by this person or these persons? They will come back with their outcomes and state, we find probable cause has been met to bring formal charges on behalf of the people on XYZ. They will then return the improved indictment to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor can then go and decide whether they want to sign it and go to trial. So this is very interesting because, sorry if you can hear my kids, my husband is supposed to be keeping them very quiet. Okay, so Myrta, Christopher, and Ramon were indicted by the grand jury March 27th, 2024. And then 2 days later, on the 29th, March 29th, they are awaiting a trial setting. And then again on the 29th, their arraignment was set. On April 16th, 2024, their pre-trial or the pre-hearing was reset. So it had an original date and then they reset it. And then on 5/20, so May 20th, it says awaiting trial. And then right after that, the thing on the case events on the website, it says a trial date was set. And it says May 20th. So this can get pushed because of the grand jury being indicted only, like a month and a half ago. They obviously have enough evidence, that thing I described about needing the evidence and presenting it to the grand jury to then see if they want to go to trial. By setting a trial date, it proves that they did find enough evidence in the grand jury because they were indicted by that grand jury. Oh wait, I guess the grand jury report was only the day before and this is indicted. So this is amazing. I am so happy for the Soto and Guerras that they are getting the justice that they all deserve for them. I can see on Raquel Guerra, Gabriel Guerra. Gabriel is Matthew's father. They are still hurting. Obviously you'd still be hurting, but they are such like a tight, close family. So is Savanah's family, but on the internet, it appears that Raquel is like really outspoken. My heart breaks for them. And honestly, when I saw that picture of Fabian, I have written Raquel to ask if I can share it because it is shared in the Facebook group. I just joined the Facebook group like yesterday. I can see it shared in the Facebook group and other people reshare it and like edit it and stuff. But I don't know. I feel weird sharing it. It's a baby who's not alive anymore. And it's shared in the Facebook group and she likes those posts and hearts them. I don't know if I feel comfortable other than this like AI generated one, which is fine. But I don't want to share like the actual image of him. He is so cute, so chubby. Gabriel shares it on his Facebook if you want to go check it out. After I saw it, I was already covering the case and then I saw the picture and I was like, I will never stop covering this case because that it's really sad. He was a real baby. So this is really great news in this step of this case. And, I really hope they get justice. I think this, like I said, this is massive. I can't say enough how massive this is and how wonderful this is. Okay, so now I want to get into another thing with this case is that, so after this happened, okay, let me look at my screenshots. So they were indicted by the grand jury, like I've said 1,000 times, March 27th, 2024. And then on April 22nd, so less than a month, like just 5 days short of being a month, on April 22nd, 2024, Ramon and Myrta's house was listed for sale. Crazy, hey? They obviously need the money. You know, it's been suspected that they had money problems, but it has been officially listed. And I think we should, you know, go through the listing. Let's just see what their house looks like together. So I've never done this before, so I'm just going to see what I can do to show you this house. Let's go through this house together. Okay, so this is 5735 Charlie Chan Drive. This is the scene of the crime. So this is where that they, in this 4 minutes, their lives were ended. So please take that into account. I just want to do a quick look through. I'm not going to be like snarky or anything. I just don't think so. I'm going to look at it. But yeah, so this is where their cars were parked. And this is the house. Like, look, that's their entryway. It looks very interesting. I mean, I'm not American, I'm Canadian, but I heard Texas is very hot. So obviously houses look very different when there's no furniture in them, but it's just so interesting to think that like such heinous, terrible people lived here. And that's just my opinion. Not everyone has to think so, but if you're going to kill a pregnant woman who's, you know, past due, like they could have saw she was, and like at least Christopher, you know, he's the one who's being charged for it. He's the only one who did this. You are a sick individual in my mind. It's just so gross. So yeah, this is their house, their living room, one of the bedrooms, taggy looking bathroom. This looks like a bathroom from the 70s. That's crazy. What a weird color to have. No offense. I mean, maybe it looks really good with like decor or something, you know, but I'm not saying if anyone has this, they are gross. I'm just simply commentating on sick individuals who ended 3 lives, you know? So yeah, this is their house. There's really nothing to say. It's very dated, very old, because they have a game room downstairs. Like, I wonder where this happened, you know? Like, obviously the parents haven't been charged with more other than like after the fact crimes. So it must have been like out front or something, but you would think you'd hear 2 gunshots. Like, I don't get it. I'm very interested in how this is going to go. So yeah, this is their house. Nothing crazy. This is just the house, you know? So, that is the update for Matthew Guerra and Savanah Soto. They have both been laid to rest. I do think it's sad that they're buried in separate locations. Matthew is buried at one cemetery. Savanah and Fabian are buried at another one. Savannah's brother had died, like I think 11 months before. I hope I'm getting that right, but I remember getting the dates correct in my earlier videos. And they're on the same plot as him. And then the end date of life, the Sotos put for Savanah and Fabian December 26th, which is the day that their bodies were found. But then Matthew's family has it as the 21st, the day that he was actually killed, you know? So, to each their own, you know? To each their own. If it were me, I would do it more so of the day they were actually killed, not the day their bodies were found. But yeah, there's a lot of, obviously, family drama that goes on. The last thing I want to share with you guys is, so if you've been around the YouTube streets, you know that there's a lot of drama happening and related to the Sebastian Rogers case. The true crime community has basically like imploded. There's a lot of things going on about creators, you know, really milking this case. And they're saying they're doing it for helping, to each their own with what they believe. I don't agree with it personally. I'm not going to call people out. I do support other channels who are doing that because I think it's wrong to exploit families like massively, you know, other than if there's brand new information, obviously, but to speculate and blame parents is so wrong in my eyes. And yes, so I'm going to go over this. The reason why I think this is relevant to share is because of what I just shared with you guys, but Raquel, Matthew's, stepmom, who mainly raised him in his life, okay, she shared this post, which I think is really important to know. So Raquel has since deleted this from her Facebook, but I did think it was really important to share because, like I just said, sorry, I'm really repetitive. This is really important to share. So she shared about drama with Matthew's birth mom, or bio mom, sorry, and because, you know, there's a lot of drama with that. But I want to share what she said after the fact. She did delete that post too, but she shared this, and I think it's really important because of social media and when it comes to criminal cases like this, okay? So she says, but it was okay to instigate all the drama before, right? When all the negative, untruthful things were said about us. It was not damaging to the case, huh? No one ever mentioned or cared or cared or brought up our mental health, our grieving, when thousands of people were coming at us the wrong way, even accused us of plotting to murder our son over our life insurance policy. Also stating my husband was probably in prison for Matt's whole life and never there for him. That's the farthest from the truth. All while knowing the backstory. Nothing like this was ever shared before in discussion groups until me and my husband defend ourselves against the lies made up to portray us in a negative way, yet again. Let's be fair. If we were dragged through the mud by thousands in discussion groups and the moderators allowed it, then moderators of all these discussion groups created about our lives should have allowed it for the other parents involved as well. Because she posted this in the Facebook group and was slandered and it was deleted because she was seen as this bad person for finally standing up for herself against social media and the biological mother. And then, but crap was spoken about them all through this thing at the beginning, that maybe they were involved, blah, blah, blah. You know, maybe Matthew, like I said before, maybe he ended Savannah's life, you know, but our lives should have allowed it for other parents involved, period. Okay. And have no sympathy the same way as they did for us and made no excuses for us. But now that we speak with straight facts and the truth, we should be focused on getting justice and our children wouldn't want it this way. How convenient. Did they ever think that Matthew wouldn't want his father talked about in the manner or his stepmom? No, it didn't matter then. And in this case, people were even paying attention. That's all we have been doing, And in case people weren't paying attention, that's all we have been doing is showing up and fighting for justice. Tell me who else has been at the front of the courthouse advocating for our grandson, which is Fabian. My husband, and Savannah's father sent a relative of his because he couldn't miss work. Who else was there? My brother, sister-in-law, and Matthew's baby sister. And yeah, there's some of us dealing with having to work and be there for our children. And I'll say that's me, my husband, and Savannah's father. We are also grieving, dealing with unbearable pain, and make no excuses about working, etc. The list goes on. It's okay for moderators to have all the sympathy and compassion for other parents, but not the fathers, and don't acknowledge or react to a father's response in the group when defending himself, and no excuse not to be fair. All the while, most of these moderators are getting paid off our tragedy and grief. So yeah, I have the right to defend myself, and a simple Google search can verify this. Don't come at me with damaging the case, because now Matthew's father has also had enough. You know, mic drop. I am so happy for Raquel that she's spoken up. This is why I'm sharing it in this case, and it goes perfectly, like I said, with what's happening in true crime. Think about the families that are affected, okay? Matthew's dad was blamed. You know, people dug into him and all this crazy stuff. I never did that. People speculated. I literally just got into watching lives during Savannah's case when like my content started getting, reacted to in these communities, but I have no idea what was actually said. I can only go off what Raquel is saying or said on her Facebook, which has since been deleted. But I think it's very important to share this because we have to watch ourselves as creators. I'm talking to myself here. We have to watch ourselves. And, even as the viewer, watch whoever you want. Okay, support whoever you want. But do your vetting, because we cannot accuse parents unless there's factual evidential proof. You can speculate like maybe a little bit, but don't for months on end accuse the parents. And then when you're getting called out, say that you're not, because there's proof out there. Okay, people? There is proof out there for certain creators. I have found the proof. I'm not going to post it because I'm not a drama channel. I don't want to do that. But I do support the drama channels, drama channels, crama channels who are calling this out because I feel for people. Raquel talking like this is sad. Okay, people, this is sad. We have to, watch what we consume, but teach their own. If you want to watch people who slander parents, all power to you. You can do whatever you want. That's just not for me, and I'm not going to stand for it anymore. Okay, but that's just me. Sorry to get all on my, soapbox here, but it is my channel. This is the case I'm covering. This is a mom who's spoken out about the unlevel or uneven playing field when it comes to parents. And I think this ties perfectly with Sebastian Rogers' case, okay? If you don't know much about this case, feel free to check out these 2 videos here that I did on the case. I do try to remain as factual as possible. I do give my opinion as well. I'm obviously commentary, so this is my opinion, but I do share documents whenever possible. And so, yeah, check these out if you're interested in learning more about the case. Bye, guys.